In front of you your agenda, and at our work session we talked about there would be budget amendments for end of the year for school and county, and they are on the agenda that will be on your screen above. There are, I think, 13 budget amendments.
I need to ask for suspension of rules, get the rest of them on there, Mr. Chairman.
Certainly.
I need to ask for suspension of rules for county budget amendments 101, 116, 139, 151, 207. The school is 141, 177, and one more for a 141 number 1.
And we put that under new business on the agenda, if that's okay.
Okay, but we need to spend, the rest of them have been heard by the budget committee. Those have not been, that I just listed. So move to suspend the rules, please.
Mr. Caldwell, you making the motion?
Yes.
We have a motion and a second.
That's
Discussion. If you need to speak, hit the request to speak button. All right, you want to vote? So go ahead and vote. Passes 17-0. The agenda has been approved as correct. You have your minutes. We have 3 sets of minutes. We have the quarterly voting meeting from March 24th, the special call meeting on May the 18th, the special call meeting on June the 15th. We have a motion from Mr. Solomon. We have a second by Commissioner Warren. I do not see a request to speak. You may go ahead and vote.
Is that for all 3?
It is.
Okay.
Minutes are approved, 17-0. Next item is appearance of citizens. Any citizen who wishes to address the county commission that did not get a form filled out. Seeing no movement. There's no order here, it's just the way I picked them up. So, first person is Steve McSmith. If you would come to the podium and state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes, sir.
My name is Steve McSmith. I live in the Island View subdivision in the Parish Chapel community in District 8 with Commissioners Dockery and Coleman as our representatives there. Last work session 2 weeks ago, there was an item on the agenda involving proposed development ultimately the north end of Main Road out on the lake. Richard Haynes was here to talk about that situation. And in the questioning from commissioners, it came to my realization that apparently not everybody knows exactly where Parish Chapel is. The question was asked, is that near Parish Chapel, etc. Starting 3 years ago this month, in June 2017, the Parish Chapel community started an effort to find a way to get some services that we're in dire need of. And I thought surely by now that the commissioners knew where Parish Chapel is located. So what I'm here for this evening is this: to offer my time, my vehicle, my gas money to any and all commissioners who would step up and come take a chauffeured ride with me and let me show you Parish Chapel and give you some info about Parish Chapel. Matt and Tina Bobick originally spearheaded our effort, and they no longer live in the Parish Chapel community because of their young son, Max, and needs for him and school situation, etc. Tina offered at a meeting 2 years ago to do what I'm doing tonight. Please come, and I will show you Parish Chapel, and I will give you information and show you where we are. She offered at that time to offer you an apple pie. She said, I will bake you an apple pie and entertain you and serve you. She didn't get any responses. It's kind of sad. I'm not going to offer you pie or dessert. I'll be happy to show you where I live, and if you want to avail yourself that opportunity, I'll give you a cup of coffee, a cold drink, a soda, a glass of iced tea, water, whatever suits your fancy. But I would strongly encourage you, if you're going to represent those of us out there, and perhaps vote additionally in the future on issues involving us, you all need to know who we are and where we're going. So, contact. I'm going to leave contact information, and we'll take a ride and see where we go. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Next person on the agenda for citizens' comment is Ronnie Mays. You'll come to the podium and state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you. My name is Ron Mays. I live at 442 Casey Lane in Ashley Oak subdivision. I'm sure that, first of all, I want to thank you for the opportunity to be here. There are several of our residents here. Those of you that live in Ashley Oaks, if you would stand, please, so they can recognize you. Thank you. You may be seated. I think you all know about the situation we have. There's been all kinds of false information being given to us. So we came tonight to ask you what you think you can do. If you can't do anything, you certainly have the expertise to get a hold of the state or federal people in our behalf. We are a tax base. We are a pretty nice little subdivision and a group of hardworking people. We have environmental issues down there. I've talked to Tom Clark about that. We've got three septic tanks that's totally under 15 foot of water. We still have a county road underwater since February of this year. Last year, the same thing, February of last year. Now, my wife and I have lived there for 20 years. I've been told that it's a flood zone or whatever, whether that's correct or whether it isn't. Water did gather, but Mother Nature would absorb it in a week or so. This is start of July. That water's been there since February, the same it did last year. It was down into September, am I correct? Before it dissipated last year, and that's basically just through evaporation through the heat of the summer.
Actually, it didn't dissipate last year, right? Remember the roof actually came and pumped the water out?
Sir, he has the floor. Thank you.
Yes, last year, most of you know, the Tennessee Baptist Association came and, I don't have the figures, it came in the standard banner, they pumped out 15 million gallons of water and did not get it all. So there is some environmental issues there. Those septic tanks with water building back up in the drains, they're either flushing that feces out or popping the cap off of those septic tanks. We have some issues and we don't know what to do. We're not engineers, we are taxpayers. So we're first of all asking for your advice. If Jefferson County can't help us get in touch with someone that can. We need some results down there. We've got elderly people and there's some issues there that needs to be addressed. We appreciate the opportunity to come and speak to you about it. There has been some issues. Rob put out a bulletin about it on Facebook, and one of the taxpayers said, well, why should we help someone else clean up their mess? Well, I'm very familiar with taxation. You take the money and do the best you can with it. But you also pay Ben Big Road over there. So our tax money is helping other parts of the county. All we're asking for is a fair shake. All we're asking for is, if you can't do it, point us in the right direction where we can get some help, whether it be FEMA or TEMA or whoever it may be. I thank you for your time. Anyone has any questions, feel free to contact me. I've lived there. I do work part-time at Field and Fuel Home, but I'm there most of the time and I'm easily accessible. And we're trying to do this in a correct manner, the way that would be.
Thank you. I'm sorry, your time's up. And I was going to let the gentleman that wanted to speak, you had some clarification.
Yeah, I was just giving input. He clarified there at the end, but it wasn't through evaporation. It actually had to be pumped last year. And that hadn't happened until just that year, actually. So. But the water stayed.
I will interject that we had the Corps of Army engineer did a study, and I'll be happy to share that with some people on what the Corps of Army engineer said. So that's one thing where we reached out to another agency. So they did a complete study. So, thank you. Next person is Kim Allen. Please come to the podium and state your name and address.
Good evening. I'm Kim Allen. I live at 803 Kettner Road in White Pine. And I just wanted to introduce myself to the commission as the new president of the Companion Animal Rescue and Education Group, the CARE Group. So, pretty simple. Just wanted to introduce myself, and I'm sure I'll get to know some of you very well over the next period of time. So, thank you.
Thank you. Welcome to Jefferson County. Heston Chandler. Mr. Chandler. Please give us your name and address, and you have 3 minutes, sir.
Yeah, my name's Heston Chandler. I go by Wade. Grew up here in Jeff County. My address is 563 Hallmark Lane, Strawberry Plains, Tennessee. And I'm here today to speak to my neighborhood. My property has not been directly impacted. However, property costs, taxes, they did go up. I didn't see that I got a break, but some home sales have been impacted in Ashley Oaks subdivision. Even realtors down in Knoxville know about the problem. They stop into my wife's salon, they talk to her about it. So it's known, there's an entity. They ask, why hasn't something been done? And so, you know, we're not coming here to point blame. There's certainly some natural impacts. There may be other impacts too, from water retention to other things in other locations. We do have a mine nearby. Regardless, what we're asking is that we're a community. Some of us probably haven't even met before this came up, but like I said, I grew up here. We started this meeting with a prayer and a pledge, faith in God, one another, and a more perfect union. Not perfect, but more perfect. And that's us together. And so all we're asking, realistically, is 1, yes, for the information from the studies, but 2, there could be a technical solution to the problem. It doesn't necessarily have to be maybe as expensive, but that collectively, maybe we can find a solution, and hopefully we can help the neighbors who have completely lost their property. There are some homes that are completely gone. People have lost, you know, their dwellings, things they had. And I've lived there for 10 years. Like I said, grew up in the county, moved off, moved back. The waters receded yearly. You know, it would come a flood every now and then, but it would go away fairly quickly. And then something's changed in the dynamics of the ecosystem, and we're not sure what. But certainly to understand what it is one thing, but to find a technical solution, like, you know, building a runoff and a sump and an ability and the legal way to pump it to the other natural flow-offs might also be a solution. So what's the answer? We don't know, but we hope we can get to one together as an actual community and actually get some movement on it and some support. And so that's what we ask.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Greg Morby.
Mr. Mayor, these 2 gentlemen have said everything that I need to say. Thank you all for consideration. Anything that you might to help us with, we certainly would appreciate it. And thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Morby. Teresa Johnson. Ms. Johnson, if you'll give us your name and address, please.
My name is Teresa Johnson, and I live at 3040 Gibson Road in Strawberry Plains. I'm here representing the Strawberry Plains Senior Center. I'm the treasurer. And I passed out some information, or had it passed out. I wrote the letter, and it's attached, which I'm fixing to read. I am the treasurer of the Strawberry Plains Senior Center. I come before you today to bring awareness to a hardship that we are facing. Our senior center sits in an unincorporated part of the county. We do not get any type of financial assistance like the other centers from their cities. As you are aware, seniors are facing unprecedented hardships due to the pandemic. Our center roughly has 85 seniors that use our facility, with a regular attendance of 25 to 30 seniors. We have 19 that are about 80 and above, and 30 that are about 70 plus, and that's just in me knowing them from the community. We have been doing well considering until COVID-19 hit. We do not know when we will be reopening, nor when our seniors will feel comfortable to go out into the public to fundraise to maintain our center. We had been successful in obtaining a few sponsors in the past 2 years, but have been notified due to the hit in the economy that they will not be able to help us donate. They won't be able to donate to us this year. I have included a budget of the past 2 years of our expenses that I will hand out to each of you, which you have. It will reflect the rounded up average, which is $6,200. This does not include anything but the basic expenses, including 3 months of shutdown reduction. We had hoped to regain our 501c3 status, but are afraid to spend money now because of a very uncertain future. We have prepared, compiled reports, ran over our status, and made up our minds that we were coming to you to ask for help in our center. However, I did have a change of heart. Instead of thinking of just ourselves, even though we cannot truly speak for the other seniors in this county, we would like to ask the county to consider and render aid to all 5 centers due to the hardship we all are facing. Yes, some centers are facing more hardships than others, but after all, we are together in this, one county, and all seniors matter. I am respectfully submitting this for any consideration due from you all. I did compile a list. I had Sandra, our director, to help me compile this, and on the top is last year from July 2018 through June of 2019. The second line that you see, and this is just our bills that we pay.
Ms. Johnson, I'm gonna give you another minute.
Okay.
So you guys prepare.
The second line is just strictly this year's, okay? And we did consult and get some cuts made in order to cut those bills back, but that was just on 2 bills. They're still there. I can tell you what our budget is, how much we have in our bank account. And we can sustain ourselves just a few more months, and then we'll have to close our doors, and you'll be totally responsible for all of it. So it's either help us now or you'll get us by the first of the year. Thank you. Thank you all for listening, and please consider.
Thank you. Any other citizen who didn't get their input from you? Thank you all for your comments. We're glad that you're here with us. We appreciate that. Those of you from Ashley Oaks that have an email on here, I will email you a copy of the Corps of Army Engineers report. You're
Would it
welcome.
be appropriate for us to dismiss out the rest of the meeting?
Can we go? Yes, it would be. Yes, it would be appropriate.
If you want to come live in Asheville,
Thank you so much. Next item on the agenda is approval of notaries and bonds. True to form, Mr. Herman has added a few more names to your list and has given you a list out for that. Go ahead, Andrew.
What's he trying to say, Frank?
I say that Mr. Scarlett made the motion and Mr. Seals seconded it. I see no request to speak, so you may proceed to vote.
Sammy, you want to float tonight, buddy?
Can you give us the rest of the names?
They're on the handout with the paperwork.
Just there,
Separate sheet,
okay.
and others in the packet.
In addition to that.
Sorry, I'm behind. It's been a long time, I'm behind here. Okay.
Motion passed 17-0. Next item. We have some mayoral appointments that's come up. The first one, mayoral appointment, is John Ballinger for the unexpired term of Darrell Helton. He will serve from June till September. I need a motion to approve. Have a motion by Mr. Scarlett, second by Mr. Byrd. No request to speak. You may go ahead and vote.
That'll be quick, but.
Passes 17-0. Next item. Resolution 2020-12. That's a resolution honoring Raymond Ellis for his EMS board service. I asked Commissioner Dockery and Coleman to sponsor this. I just put it under mine. Mr. Ellis is ill and unable to attend, and I've given Mr. Coleman a premature resolution to take to Mr. Ellis. We should keep him in our prayers. A motion to approve would be in order. That'd be Mr. Coleman, second by Mr. Reed. Any request to speak? Seeing none, you may vote. 40 plus years he served on the EMS board. He didn't even get $1 a year.
Mr. Mayor, can I say one?
You certainly may. Mr. Phillips is the EMS director and has worked with Mr. Ellis.
If you're going to deliver we had an award made for him. This was supposed to be done before the
COVID.
virus, and we didn't have an opportunity to do so because of the virus. I appreciate y'all doing that, and recognizing Mr. Ellis has been a big influence on my life and career. He's an outstanding individual. I sent him a letter to that fact, and spoke to him on the phone prior to him becoming ill, but just keep him in your prayers. He is a big part of what Jefferson County EMS. He helped shape us and grow us and make us what we are today, and continue to push us to be the best in this area. And I just want to say that on his behalf, in honor of him. He's an outstanding individual. He's sorely missed on our board, and just couldn't ask for a better person or individual. I appreciate you giving me the time to say that on his behalf. Thank you.
Thank you. Resolution passes 17-0. Next item is resolution 2020-29. It's a hazardous mitigation plan. It's multi-jurisdictional, where we work with TEMA and FEMA on this plan. It was sent to you electronically. It's 118 pages. I didn't get an outcry for anybody wanting to have a copy of that. 118, we had a few available, so we have a motion by Mr. Solomon, second by Mr. Kesterson. Seeing no request to speak, you may proceed to vote. Motion passes 17-0. Item D, I put under the mayor nominating committee. They put it back on me. Mr. Seal did over there. They say it's not their job, and really it's not. The libraries recommend appointments of their own board, and this is just a pass along. So they recommend their people, and this is the list that the library board, the Jefferson County Library Board, has sent to you for confirmation. And so you can see those names and their dates of expiration. We have a motion by Mr. Byrd and a second by Mr. Solomon. No other nominations or requests to speak. You may go ahead and vote. And it passes 17-0. You'll find two items grouped together. They go hand in hand. There's a policy and procedure that had to be updated, and an employee handbook. No, did I miss? So, we'll do the Flint River Regional Library Board. I thought we were doing them all, so Mr. Jack Kramer's recommending for that. Have a motion by Sammy Solomon, second by Rob Blevins. You may go ahead and vote. It passes 17-0. Two items that go together is policy and procedure and employee handbook. The attorney advised us that when you revise the employee handbook, you gotta have policy and procedure to match it. Thanks to Mr. Potts and the finance office, we were able to locate the policy and procedure after some amount of time. During this time, the comptroller told us we had to have policies in place for working from home, telecommunications, emergency closure, and things along that line. We owe a great deal of gratitude to the Knox County HR department. It may look vaguely familiar to a lot of policies that they have there. So we have a motion by Marcus Reed and a second by Mr. Byrd. Mr. Scarlett, you have the floor.
I'm just wanting to know, does everybody know what they're voting on when they vote this thing? Have they read all, have they read the, I'm just asking, have you read the policies? I know you have.
I have. I don't know about the rest of it.
I missed the work session, so I'm a little bit behind here.
Well, it's the policies, it's got employee policies as well as policies for us. And I'm just wanting to make sure everybody's read through them because it's gonna be pretty important. It's one thing to say it, it's another thing to write it down.
I understand this.
And if it's wrote down, we need to follow it.
Is there something you don't like about it?
Is there
No, I'm
something-
not, I don't have a problem, and I'm just asking, I mean, there's a lot in there.
Yeah, they are.
I'm just asking if,
That's what
we've got to follow it if we vote.
That was gonna be my next question. Is there anything specifically that, you know, might be up that we would need to hash through?
I don't know specifically, but I mean, there's a lot of information there, Mr. Douglas, that goes to, and I think, the mayor told me that, each, like the highway department has their policies, the sanitation has their policies. This
That's
is for
typical.
county.
Any elected official can submit their own employee handbook, just like the sheriff's department has their own handbook. It takes an elected official. They can come up with their own handbook. They file it with Mr. Herndon's office, just like Mr. Herndon can do it in his office. And they simply provide us a copy, and it's just an FYI. There's no vote on county commission. So any elected official can do their own handbook. These are the employees that just apply to us.
Well, but if the way you told me, if they do not have one, they fall underneath this.
If
Is that
they do
correct?
not have one, any county employee with any department falls under this handbook, and they don't necessarily have to adopt a complete new handbook. They can have different policies and procedures than what we have.
But they have to file it with Mr. Herndon.
It has to be filed with the clerk, and it has to be presented to county commission. Mr. Reed, sorry.
I've read through the policy and procedures. I think it's very important for the county to have a policy and procedure manual. I think one other thing that really jumps out is a section concerning the code of ethics. This day and world that we live in, I think we have to question, does anyone really care about ethics anymore? And I'm very thankful that the mayor has worked hard to bring out a policy and procedure manual. I know it was very important to me in my job when I was 911 director to have one, and I think it's well written, and I think any policy and procedure manual is going to be used where one is in place at work, and I appreciate that fact. I have no problem with the guidelines that's laid out for us as elected officials in the policy and procedure manual, and I'd encourage each one of you to read it and to look at it. Thank you.
Thank you. Request to speak. You also should have an electronic copy of this that you got prior to the work session. Seeing no more requests to speak, you may vote. Passes 14-1 with 2 abstaining. Next item. You will find a handout from Kevin Poe that I gave out at the work session. We send out electronically. It's his annual report. I'm not real sure that's in your packet. It may be. We have a lot of material this go around. If not, we can get you more, but it did come electronically. Okay, item F. Jefferson County Commission Rules and Procedure meeting change. This will require a 2/3 majority. This will be going to a quarterly meeting, allowing for a budget meeting and any special call meetings that we deem necessary. As the school superintendent has informed us that sometimes he may need. I have a motion by Mr. Byrd, second by Tim Seals. Mr. Solomon requests to speak.
No, I didn't. I'm sorry, guys.
Mr. Fagan.
Jump in there and make that motion, didn't you?
Wrong button.
I can't read your minds. Mr. Fagan, you had a...
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm always for more efficient government and less government. So I'm supportive of this, but I wanted to take off on something that Commissioner Docker mentioned last time. I thought it was a good idea. Just to give that some consideration as opposed to 4 work sessions and 4 meetings. Just eliminate the work sessions and have a total of 8 meetings. That way we can conduct business each time we're together. And if we need a work session, we could do like the schools do. I think the town of White Pine does, and have a short work session just prior to the meeting. It gives more opportunity, or less opportunity for us to have called meetings if we do that. So I'm not necessarily making that motion. I just wanted to champion that because I thought it was a good idea that Terry presented.
Thank you, Mr. Fagan. Request to speak. Quiet tonight. Okay. I assume you're ready to vote. You may go ahead and vote. Passes 16-1. The good news is your next quarterly meeting is in July. So we'll see you next month.
Change it then.
So I told you about Mr. Poe's report. That brings us over to financial report. Your packet had the April 2020, and Mr. Potts is distributed maybe
May is in there as well.
May 2020.
I like it.
Certainly.
Okay, as I've mentioned several times in our meetings since COVID-19 began, I'm real concerned about the local sales tax. So here's the latest numbers that we just received in June. So this is for April business that the businesses reported and turned into the state in May, and we get it in June. So there's a real delay in what's happening for local sales tax. For the month of April, we're up 20.6% in the county, 13.8% in Jefferson City, 1.4% in Dandridge, down 2.6% in White Pine, up 66% in Newmarket, Bainbury up 220% for a total average of all the cities in the county for 12.2%. Sounds real good on the surface. Let me tell you a few things. I've been studying these numbers. Good news is people are still spending money. The money from the federal government obviously has impacted this and the need for toilet paper and all the supplies that we're hoarding these days. But when you look inside of these numbers, our out-of-state sales generally are up. Generally, small businesses are down. Not the case in all of them, but generally those are down. It's changing our community. Hotels obviously are down. That number's down over 50%. I'm surprised it's not more than that. Dine-in restaurants are down. Big box stores are up. I'm reminded of the Alan Jackson song, The Little Man. If you like country music, you know what I'm talking about there. But don't have the answer here, but I don't think it's time to celebrate that just because our sales tax numbers are over last year. Good news is, like I said, they're spending money, but it's definitely changing our community as we go forward. Hopefully we can get through this crisis and move back to whatever normal is going to be at some point. Any questions on that? I'm going to continue to report this to you each month as we go forward. Yes, sir.
Would you attribute some of that money to the ability now to get tax off of internet sales also?
Maybe part of it, Mr. Jefferson, but we had that last year as well. So we were already getting that. I see the companies, I get a report that's thousands of pages long that shows where the money's coming from, which organizations, which companies, and I see those increasing. And it's a little bit different between the county employees and city employees too. The county employees are relying more on the internet sales, purchases, home delivery than the cities are, especially like in Jefferson City. They're right there next to the big box places. So we don't have a problem in revenue right now. I'm just concerned about how it's affecting our county. Any other questions?
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Next item is resolution 20-24, something we do annually to increase our threshold. We have a motion by Mr. Faith, second by Commissioner Warren. Seeing no request to speak, you go ahead.
You're in a hurry. You're in a hurry, so
You're in a slug. You need to speak, sir.
Yeah, so what we're voting on here, and please correct me if I'm wrong, what we're voting on here is a county agent, whatever, can spend up to $25,000 rather than $10,000 without putting it out to public bid.
Yes, sir. That's the way it was last year.
It was 10,000 last year. It was 25.
25.
It was 25.
Yes, it's been, the state changed the law, I believe it was 3 years ago, but it's an option at the local level to do that, and we've passed it for the last 3 years to do that. And it doesn't change budgeting or anything, it's just whether or not we get quotes versus we bid it out.
I understand that. Now, coming from a business that I was in, I done a lot of quotes that were in the $10,000 to $15,000 range, and you couldn't do a quote, you had to do a bid.
Correct.
So that's why I was asking the question, Wes, so.
I think that's why the state changed it, Commissioner.
Well,
or allowed the opportunity for counties to change it.
There's some discussion at state level too about taking that to 50,000. So that doesn't matter yet. They didn't pass that, but
okay.
It's worked pretty well from our office.
Well, it won't go down there, but yeah, I can see the benefits of it. Okay.
Thanks, sir. Didn't try to run by you. I didn't see your request to speak button there. Anybody else that wishes to speak? If not, you may go ahead and vote.
Mine says I've already voted.
Do we need to back it out and then put it back in again?
You're
If it
asking
shows-
the wrong person here on that.
Actually, it doesn't work.
It either works or it doesn't, that's about all I can tell you.
Mine's not working.
I didn't know I put my.
If you change your vote and then vote it again, it'll pop up.
So you're advocating everybody change their vote?
Yeah, if you wanna get no, and then vote the exact same rate.
It'll reset itself.
Okay.
Oh, good.
It's just the way it came out there.
Change your vote and puncture it again. They've got a
All right.
technical issue.
Change your vote.
Yeah, you need to change the vote.
So do you need to hit change your vote?
Yeah, just hit the blue change your vote.
Ah, there we go. All right.
It'll back up to it, just like it's.
Anyone vote no, in case we have a glitch there, so, that is correct on the screen, 17 in favor, and no against. It passes. Next item is, I'm at 2025. Resolution 2025, this is approving leases of business machines per PCA code. Have a motion by Mr. Solomon, a second by Mr. Reed. Seeing no request to speak, let me go ahead and vote. Sam, you need to vote.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking at something.
Get off that phone.
Wake up.
Motion carries 17-0. Next resolution, 2020-26. These are some items being surplus by the county clerk's office. Motion by Mr. Byrd, second by Mr. Coleman. Seeing no request to speak, may go ahead and vote. Passes 17-0. Resolution 20-28. It's a resolution to declare a surplus and authorize the sheriff's department to dispose and donate the said equipment. I have a motion by Mr. Seals, second by Mr. Reed. No request to speak. You may proceed to vote. Resolution passes 15-0 with an abstention. Next item, resolution 2020-31 is to surplus some equipment from the Jefferson City Public Library. Motion by Mr. Solomon, second by Mr. Byrd. You may go ahead and vote. Passes 17-0. Resolution 2020-33. It's another resolution to surplus of equipment and donate by the sheriff's department. Motion by Mr. Seals, second by Mr. Byrd. Seeing no request to speak, you may go ahead and vote. Passes 15-0 with 2 abstaining. Next item is debt management policy 4.3. Have a motion by Mr. Scarlett, second by Mr. Fagan. No request to speak. You may go ahead and vote. Passes 17-0. Next item are the county budget amendments. Mr. Scarlett, you want to see, do we want to do the county amendments that have been approved by the budget committee as a whole, or do you want to do individually?
Can take them as whatever the pleasure of the body is.
All together.
Okay.
If
You
nobody's
have,
opposed. So you have county amendment already approved by the budget committee, 101, number 20, items 1 through 3, 131, number 4, item 1, 151, number 1, item 1. 189, number 1, item 1. These are the first 4 amendments.
101 does use 5,500 of fund balance. Does everybody understand that?
We can do it separate.
Because we're doing this, we're taking a roll call anyway.
Yeah.
You can do it together, but you just need to understand, it is the only one that uses fund balance.
Motion by Mr. Carmichael, second by Mr. Jefferson.
Doesn't have to have a motion, it's approved by the board.
That's correct. We probably do for roll call though.
Had to have it
Go ahead
vote.
and vote. Do we still have to do that? Get on roll call? Have a motion.
You got a trick in doing so.
That's right. Don't mean anything.
We don't have to do roll call. I mean, that's it. Roll call, right?
That is the roll call. for-
No, it's.
Because they have recorded how you voted is a roll call.
Alright. Passes 17-0. The next county amendments were not approved by the county budget. These are in the year-ending amendments. 101, number 21, item 1. 116, number 2, item 1. 131, number 5, item 1. 151, number 2, item 1. 207, number 6, item 1. If there's no objections, we will vote on those as a whole. Motion by Mr. Solomon, second by Mr. Carmichael, request to speak. Anyone? Hearing none, you may proceed to vote. And it passes 17-0. We have one school amendment that is approved by the Budget Committee, 141, number 14, item 1. It comes as a recommendation, doesn't need a motion in a second, but we do need it for the purpose of voting up here. So if somebody can give us a, no, we don't need it, so you can vote. Passes 17-0. Next budget amendments were not approved by the Budget Committee. It's year-end items. Number 141, number 16, item 1. 177, number 1, item 1. This will take a motion in a second. Motion by Mr. Carmichael. Second by Mr. Solomon. No request to speak. You may proceed to vote. Passes 16-0, 1 abstain. That brings us to resolutions. Resolution 2020-19, it's a resolution establishing special revenue fund committed reserve rules, and this will take 2/3 majority to approve. I have a motion by Mr. Jefferson, second by Mr. Fagan. Request to speak. Seeing none, you may proceed to vote. And it passes 17-0. Resolution 2020, it's a correction to a scrivener's error fixing the tax levy. I have a motion by Mr. Scarlett, second by Mr. Seals. No request to speak, you may proceed to vote. Passes 17-0. Resolution 20-21, this is appropriation to nonprofit charitable organizations for our next budget year. I have a motion by Mr. Coleman, a second by Jimmy Carmichael. Motion to amend comes first. Mr. Dockery.
I'll try to be brief. Last year, when you
look at the nonprofits list, most of the people, and this is just my opinion, everybody has one, but most people I've talked to consider rescue squad, fire departments, and animal shelter as part of services that they expect. The chamber, it's debatable, I know, but a lot of people, or I consider it a financial or an investment with a financial return to help do a lot of other things in the county. Last year we passed a budget. We had a small tax increase last year, and year's budget does not include a property tax increase, but it does not include raises for county employees. And I know the budget committee agreed, and this body's talked, and we optimistic that rollover is going to be good, and perhaps we can do a bonus. But still, the fact remains, we have money in the budget for some other than nonprofits that aren't in the list I talked about as far as rescue squad, fire departments, animal shelter, and chamber. And we didn't have the money we felt like for county raises or for raises for county employees. Just tonight, we heard a nice lady, Miss Teresa Johnson, make a plea for funding for our senior citizen center. I don't know how to tell them no either. And over the years, there's been a lot of funding cut for other nonprofits that are very value added. So at this point in time, my position is just to support the ones that most people consider essential, and that being rescue squad, fire department, animal shelter, and then the chamber as an investment. So with all of that said, I move to reallocate $68,000 for the Boys and Girls Club, $4,000 for safe space, and $2,000 for senior citizens home assistance to a special reserve account designated for county employee raises or bonuses at later this year when we see what rollover is. So in other words, let's take that $74,000, put it in the pot, and possibly use it later for county raises or bonuses. Thank you.
Make sure I'm correct. You're making a motion to amend to take $74,000 total from Boys and Girls Club, Safe Space, and Senior Citizens Home Assistance.
Yes, sir.
And that leaves each of those at a zero?
That is correct.
Okay. So that is the motion. We have a second by Mr. Coleman. Mr. Reed, you request to speak.
I understand where Mr. Dockery's coming from. I'm a total supporter of the employees of this county, but I'm also a supporter of the seniors of this county. And I've met with the head of the Director on Aging for the county. I've met with Mrs. Johnson that spoke tonight. You have a bunch of citizens, senior citizens, in the Strawberry Plains area of this county. And if we do not come up with a few $1,000s to help them get through the winter, they will close their doors. And once we do get out of this pandemic, and I pray that we do, we will have a section of the county that has nothing to help the seniors of this county. And for the love of my life, I'm talking about veterans too, and I think that we have a moral obligation to at least try to find $5,000 in this county to support the seniors in Strawberry Plains. And then we're really going to have to take a look and see if we're supporting the seniors the way we should in this county with the other senior citizens, because they also are hurting, especially one other. So once we get through this amendment, I have an amendment to make.
Okay.
But I would ask you to take a look at that letter and think about yourself. And I can't say when you get 70 because I'm 70. But when you get into your 80s and you get into your 90s, we value the young people of this county. We value the employees of this county. And rightly so, we should value the seniors of this county. Thank you.
Thank you. There were some people that had a request to speak. Did you were holding, waiting? Motion to amend by Mr. Fagan.
Mr. Chairman, if you've got people to speak on the amendment, you've got to let them
Are y'all, Mr. Douglas, you speaking on Mr. Dockery's amendment?
Yes, I had a question about it.
Certainly.
And I don't know if Terry can answer it, or, excuse me, Commissioner Dockery, or if anyone in the room can answer. Percentage-wise of what we give to Boys and Girls Club, Safe Space, and the Chamber of Commerce, of their total, but, no, excuse me, let's get, yeah, the seniors home assistance home. What is the percentage of what we give to them to their total budget? Does anybody know? I should know that, because that's been talked about.
I don't have this year's, all that information in front of me, but I remember from last year, because we talked, had a long discussion, budget committee, our fund in the Boys and Girls Club in last year's budget was 7 or 8% of their total budget.
That's what I was thinking, it's
Very
less
low.
than 10%.
Yes. The other two, I don't know, Mr. Douglas.
Would anybody else have an answer on that?
Not unless finance director knows. No, I don't either. I've seen it, but.
Well, what I'm saying is, it's not like, it's not a huge percentage of the budget on any of them, I don't think, is it? On any of the three.
were lower percentages. Is that what you're basically?
Mhm.
Ms. Huffaker, are you speaking to Mr. Dockery's amendment?
Yes, please. Okay.
Proceed.
I'd like to say, I do value the employees, and I do want to support the raises, and I'm hopeful that we will be able to do that. But I cannot support this amendment because, in my opinion, the Boys and Girls Clubs, it's a benefit to our school system. Those kids need the tutoring, they need the meals, they need the mentors. They don't have that stuff at home, the majority of them. And I think it keeps our costs down in the long run with the school system because we're raising grades and we're helping ensure these kids have a better chance. Sure, some of them may not need that extra chance, but a lot of them do. And so I'm not going to support the amendment because I think we still should support the Boys and Girls Club. And also Safe Space, they use that $4,000. That's a low percentage of their budget, but they use that to secure certain grants to get them started. So $4,000 is not a lot of money, but it is a lot of money to them because it helps get their grant matchings started.
So, Mr. Douglas has spoken in favor of the amendment. You've spoken against it. Anybody else to speak in favor or against Mr. Dockery's amendment? If not,
I'd like to close if we could before we vote.
I got, Mr. Fagan has a,
Hold, Mr. Chairman.
sir.
Mr. Fagan has high privilege. He's got to, I assume he's wanting to amend something too,
Yeah.
so he has.
So people have spoken to that amendment, so
You got-
Mr.
you
Fagan,
got-
you got the floor.
Let him go.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I understand where Commissioner Dockery's coming from, but I share Ms. Huffaker's sentiments with regard to the Boys and Girls Club and Commissioner Reed's sentiments with regard to the seniors. I think we should be assisting both. I don't have a problem with putting this money in a reserve and taking it up in conjunction with employee raises when we get the rollover and figure out, can we afford to do all these, or do we need to adjust this in some fashion? So what my amendment would be is to pass the motion putting it in reserve, but without restriction for employee raises. It would be taking up, determining where this money would be spent once the rollover occurs.
Your amendment to the amendment is to take $74,000 and put it in reserve without being designated for employee raises. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Do we have a motion to amend the amendment by Mr. Fagan? Do we have a second? Mr. Douglas, second. Request to speak. Are you blanking to speak or just?
No.
Okay. Okay. assume you're ready to vote on the amendment to the amendment, which says that you will pull 74,000 from these three nonprofits, put that in a reserve fund to be determined. Did you put a timetable?
Yeah, once the rollover occurs, we will take that issue up.
Once the finance director has presented us with the rollover for this year.
That will be in September.
It'll probably be October because we don't meet in September.
Probably.
You may proceed to vote. This is on the amendment to the amendment. Looks like it fails. 10-6. Okay. That puts us back to Mr. Dockery's amendment to take 74,000 to pull from these three nonprofits and use it for employee increases only. Mr. Dockery said how you're
To reserve it for county employee pay increase or bonuses.
request to speak. Okay, now we're voting on the motion. You want to close, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I'll just be real quick and say respectfully, I hope nobody thinks I'm against senior citizens or boys club, either one, but I'll respectfully say, as far as Boys and Girls Club, if it's and I'm not trying to bounce to basketball, Dr. Johnson, but if it's of a great benefit to the school system, perhaps the school board should take up funding for the Boys and Girls Club instead of county commission. Senior citizens, I mean, my heart, I wish we could do all we could. I just don't want to be arbitrary and picking and choosing. But I will say, if this body chooses to take up funding now or at a later date for senior citizen centers, I would ask you to be prepared to talk about providing funding for a senior citizen at Swansylvania community, Chestnut Hill community, and Parish Chapel community, because they do not exist that I know of. So all the talk so far has been about straw planes and the 5 we have. But if we're going to do it, let's do it right and do it all the way across the county. Thank you.
Mr. Coleman.
Mr. Chairman, if you let me
Since
close
it's
on that.
primarily
Right.
to,
I'm sorry, I let him close, so we can address it. He closed, he made the amendment, and he closed. We need to vote. Amendment fails, 9-4. Now, Mr. Coleman, if you would like to speak.
I'm good now.
Sorry.
What I was gonna do is rescind the second since it's gonna pertain to county employees' raises. Because my initial thought was it's gonna be for the, to be decided between senior citizens and the county employees, and that was my issue.
I understand, that would have been probably a point of order there. Okay, we're back to, I'm not real sure where we are. We're back to the original resolution.
Original
We're back
resolution.
to the original resolution, which is 2020-21. Amendment or request to speak. Mr. Reed.
I'd like to make a motion to take $5,000 out of the general fund to give it to the senior center and Strawberry Plains neighborhood.
Mr. Chairman, this is not part of that. It wouldn't be part of your amendment. I mean, part of your resolution. This is a budget resolution.
Mr. Reed, it would have to come from somewhere in the nonprofits. In new business, you could introduce a 5,000 for general fund.
Okay, that's fine.
Request to speak. Let's vote.
I've got a question.
Oh, sorry, Todd.
And John Neal, you correct me if I'm wrong. If we looked at the $5,000 that he's requesting to go to the seniors, could we pull that 5,000 from the Boys and Girls Club?
If what you're doing is inside this resolution, as presented, as advertised in the paper, you can't. What
So-
you can't do is change this resolution fundamentally, and we're just gonna add to it as we go along,
Understand?
parliamentary.
So that would work, not changing the numbers, but pulling the $5,000?
If all the numbers are the same, you can change and put something, you can redistribute, that's your own prerogative, it's no problem. But you can't add to, because we have said, this is the way we did the budget, and this is the way we advertised it to take care of it. I mean,
You can move money within this resolution.
You move
can't
money
pull
within
it
the
from another
resolution.
area.
So do,
But Mr. Reed can do that also later. He can add to it, there's no problem there. You just
Can't do it right
can't
here,
fundamentally change this.
but I can in new business.
You certainly can.
but
Yes.
I guess I would like to make a motion to amend, because I don't want to add any new money, I don't want to pull out of reserve. My motion would be to take $5,000 to give to the seniors from the Boys and Girls Club.
Is that senior, I just need clarification here, is that all the seniors club or one particular seniors club?
Well, the one that's come and requested.
Restaurant.
Stroke
We have a motion, we have a second. We have a second by Mr. Blevins. That's amendment.
So this would be an amendment.
Amendment to move 5,000 from the Boys and Girls Club and give it to restaurant senior citizens. That puts us to,
I would rather take it from the chamber. I didn't want to second this, but
okay, give me a second.
we're gonna take it from somebody.
Okay,
Okay. I'm not opposed to giving money to the Strawberry Plains Senior Center, but my understanding from her, she could probably wait a couple months. She's still here?
No, they can't.
So I personally would rather send it back through the budget than just knee jerking real fast and giving her money, because the other seniors might need $1,000 to help them along. Maybe not a lot of money, but if we do it for one, I think since she had a few months that she could wait, I think it would be better to send it back, let budget evaluate it, and then send it back again, because it's such a low dollar amount.
thank you. Anyone to speak in favor? So we have a motion and a second on the board for the 5,000, and that came from, who made the motion, Todd?
Yes, sir.
And then Mr. Coleman seconded. Request to speak, Mr. Fagan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So just a point of clarification. So the motion is to move 5,000 from the entity in section 1 to the entity in section 4? Is that what we're doing?
No,
No.
We're adding something else.
section 6.
Section 6. So point of clarification, is that permissible?
You can redistribute the money that we
To a different entity than's listed here, than was
add
advertised
to,
here?
because you're still under the same amount of money.
So the only control is the money, not the entities listed?
You can change any or all of those. But you can, if you do this, then you're moving out of what you advertised.
I'm just wanting clarification on that.
Request to speak.
That's the way I understand it.
Anyone wishing to speak? So we're voting on the amendment to move 5,000 from the Boys and Girls Club and give that to the restaurant senior citizens. You may go ahead and vote.
Touch it
Third
easy.
time's a charm. You got a big hand.
I do.
Bang it on the side of the table just a little bit. I think about it.
He's hitting it too hard.
Well, this is trying to reconnect now. I think we both lost connection.
Oh, no, let's not do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, my connection's gone.
We're all non-connected.
Leave it up to me.
Just load the whole system up, Commissioner.
Leave it up to me.
Too many tabs.
You know, we're darn. The old-fashioned way.
I wish they'd last another 20 minutes. What did you do?
Feel like it's all day.
Sam, good handling it.
I was logging in.
Hey, is this where them iPads would come in at?
Yeah, you can play solitary while we're waiting.
You are? You never check your email either?
Yeah, I'll check this out.
I'm back in.
That's a lot different. It's outside today, wasn't it?
Way to go, be ready.
And all else failed, reboot.
Controlled off the lead.
That's right.
Oh, he went off. He went off.
We talked too much there.
Mine says it's reconnected.
I'm losing connection here.
Me too.
My thing reconnected. It's not that I get the vote, it's reconnected. Like we've done. Sign back in, please. I don't know where we were at, I'm gonna have to figure out. May have to have a vote to figure out where we were at.
We voted on something?
Frank wants a minute. We could all admire Commissioner Douglas's socks while we were waiting.
That's how you got this job. You're standing up to me.
My daughter's got the same socks.
Oh, I would too. I would.
Shut up, Scarlett.
She's 16. No, I'm sorry, Mr. Douglas. She doesn't have those.
I didn't know it was gonna be this big of a distraction.
Okay, we're back to resolution 2020-21. I think, no, that's.
Just so you all know, we bought this thing so it speaks the
We're doing
same.
an amendment
Got it.
to take $5,000 from the Boys and Girls Club and give that to the restaurant and senior citizen. The original motion, I.
No, it wouldn't.
For the
You don't
amendment,
you don't have to worry about it. This comes as a recommendation from the
Yeah,
budget
it came in
committee.
budget.
It's Todd's. Todd made the amendment.
I think he's talking about the original resolution 2022. Who made that motion? Does anybody know?
now which one?
I bet Sammy did. He's quick.
I support the
Your agreement.
for the $5,000 Two.
The one we just voted on.
Vote on something.
What about the original resolution? Who made the motion for the original resolution?
He's got it,
Okay.
2022.
2021.
Yeah, I'm already ahead of you, I'm sorry.
Terry made the original motion to amend it, and Mayor amended his amendment.
Yeah, but
No, his amendment
No,
failed.
his amendment failed, he made a new amendment.
you amended his.
We'll take a vote on two.
That you made another.
Todd made the amendment, he made the motion, Mark the second.
That'd be out of order. Involves money too. That's a roll call vote.
Just get somebody else to make a motion.
Y'all start over?
Start over and we can move on.
Frank's a good Flint Candy Crush.
Push that.
Sammy,
Let's move on.
one.
I don't know.
All right. Who's made the second?
Do I need to amend that?
Can you go? Ronnie Coleman made the motion.
Second.
Oh! That'd be Coleman and Carmichael, motion and second.
Okay.
Better fix that.
Oh, really, don't do that. Alright. Are we ready to go to the amendment? So Todd, there's a motion to amend by Mr. Kesterson. Who seconded?
Ronnie Jenkins.
Mr. Coleman seconded. We talked about it. Anybody want to talk some more?
No.
On this? That's pretty quick now. Okay, we're ready to vote. Are we ready, Frank? We may not be ready to vote. I'm ready to vote.
How much was this thing?
Okay, we're ready. Y'all bring a whole new meaning to legislation.
Nah, ready?
It's all about the leadership of the chair, though.
Yeah, I know it. That's what the mayor said too.
Glenn's over there hitting it again.
So, the motion to amend passed 10-6, with one abstain. That brings us back. It has to be 11, don't it?
That's the 11.
So it fails. So the motion to amend fails. So we're back to Resolution 2020-21, as it is in your packet, for your nonprofits. We have a motion and a second. Anyone wishing to speak or amend? Hearing none? No, Mr. Douglas.
I'm gonna try this one more time. What if we pulled $5,000 out of Section 5 out of the Chamber of Commerce?
That's hotel money. I don't know where you can pull that out and use it.
Can't use that. That's hotel money. Remembered that, but I just didn't know that that was, okay.
Request to speak or a motion to amend? Hearing North, Mr. Stevens.
Call for the question.
If you'll withdraw, we'll just vote. How would that be?
Said that with authority, didn't
Well, I just wanted to vote.
Okay,
Whatever
all
you
right.
want me to do.
Just vote.
Let's just vote. Because I don't have to vote on whether to vote. How do you have appeared? Passes 13-2 with 2 abstaining. Next item. Resolution 20-22. This is funding our regular budget for the county. We have a motion by Mr. Scarlett, second by Mr. Solomon. No request to speak, no amendment seen. You may go ahead and vote. Passes 17-0. Resolution 20-23, fixing the tax levy in Jefferson County. Motion by Mr. Scarlett, second by Mr. Fagan. No request to speak, no amendment. You may proceed to vote. Passes 17-0. Resolution 2020-27. This is the governor's local government support grant. Have a motion by Mr. Solomon, second by Mr. Fagan. No request to speak, no amendment. Please proceed to vote. Resolution passes 17-0. Next item is recapitulation. Motion by Mr. Douglas. Second by Mr. Byrd. No request to speak, no amendment. You may proceed to vote. Passes 17-0.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
if you would ask the members of the budget committee, do not leave until you sign the recapitulation, because if you do, you'll have to come back over here.
Does everybody understand? All the budget committee members have to sign the recapitulation resolution. This brings us to, nominating committee. Mr. Seals has presented the nominating committee, CARE, and the County Board of Equalization. If it's okay with the body, we will vote on both groups as a whole. I have a motion by Mr. Byrd, second by Ms. Huffaker. Any motions or amendment? Hearing none. You may proceed to vote. We don't have any vote, do we? Yeah. Passes 17-0.
Mr. Chairman, you have another budget amendment.
I do. It's at the one I got under new business. It's 2021 school budget amendment 141.
Yes, sir. Have you got it? I didn't know.
I got it down as E.
Okay, thank you.
First item is action to rescind resolution 2006-03. This comes from the Planning Commission and it requires a 2/3 majority of the County Commission. I have a motion by Mr. Dockery, second by Mr. Reed. No request to speak, no amendment. You may proceed to vote. Takes 2/3. Passes 16-0, 1 abstain. Mr. Fagan, I have you on the agenda as item B.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion that we have the finance director and the mayor work together to issue a request for qualifications or proposal, whichever is appropriate, to secure services for county facilities needs assessment and strategic planning.
Motion for the finance director and the mayor to seek a proposal for facilities need assessment and a plan. Is that correct?
Strategic planning.
Mr. Fagan has a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that. I don't see nothing on here to do that with.
I don't think you can.
Well, you'll hit the motion there, Mr.
You can do that
Fagan.
because you're
I
county
can,
employee.
okay. I abstain on
You have to abstain.
that. 10-4. Oh.
Mr. Fagan, if you'd hit the motion button.
I would if I had one.
Oh, okay.
That's why I didn't say.
Maybe Mr. Hernan can make your motion for you.
There you go.
All right.
Well, it came and went.
You got it.
Do we have a,
Okay.
can they second from the device? You may second from your device if you'd like to second this motion. Motion dies for lack of a second. Next item. Resolution 20-16. It's a resolution amending the zoning map of Jefferson County. The details are listed there. This has been approved by the Planning Commission and is recommended to the County Commission. We have a motion by Mr. Fagan. No,
Nope.
Nope, that's the other one.
That's all.
Purple, a little bit of that.
all right, we're ready. Motion by Mr. Reed. Second by Mr. Douglas. No request to speak, no amendment. You may proceed to vote. Passes 16-0, one abstain. Item D, resolution 2020-18. This is rezoning A1 to C2. And it comes as a recommendation
To deny.
to deny. Planning Commission denied this, they're recommending that County Commission deny. So this is a motion to deny by the Planning Commission. We have a motion by Mr. Carmichael, second by Mr. Byrd. Mr. Dockery would like to speak.
You probably told us last week, I'd just like to ask him why is it denied?
There, it's up on Old Newport Highway. No C2, no work close to it. They said spot zoning.
Okay.
Ms. Huffer,
I just want to clarify, if I vote,
I'm sorry.
oh,
Go ahead.
so if you vote yes for the resolution, you're voting for it to be denied.
That's correct. Yes is no, and no is yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Fagan, I jumped you there ahead of you. Okay.
That's what I wanted to talk about. We're good.
So if you're voting yes, that means you're upholding the Planning Commission's decision to deny this rezoning. I'm gonna leave it at that. You may vote. Fifteen to one with one abstain, it is denied. Next item, school budget amendment 141, number 1, item 1. Budget committee has not approved. We will need a motion and a second. And I haven't forgotten that. I have a motion from Mr. Fagan, a second by Mr. Solomon. Request to speak. No amendment. You may proceed to vote. Passes 17-0. New business. Any other motions or items to come forward? Mr. Reed.
I make a motion to take $5,000 from the general fund and to give it to the senior center at Strawberry Plains in order to keep them afloat through the coronavirus.
Let me make sure you're taking $5,000 out of the fund balance
Yes,
and give it to the senior citizen center of
Strawberry Plains.
Strawberry Plains. If you would go ahead, can he?
Point of order.
We're getting you there where you can do it technologically, which is a lot faster.
Point of order.
Sir,
Do we not need to suspend the rules for this to occur here rather than having to pass through the budget committee?
you are correct. We would need a motion to suspend the rules.
Move we suspend the rules.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Seal, second by Mr. Fagan. Any discussion? All in favor of suspending rules, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Oh, Lord.
It has to be unanimous, then.
2/3.
We do roll call. Okay. Boy, I misread that one, didn't I? Sorry, Mr. Reed, I should have done that first.
No problem.
It's only my second year on the job, I'm still learning. Fox Hill made the motion, and Mr. Fagan made the second to suspend the rules. Takes 2/3 majority. Anyone wish to speak? If not, you may proceed to vote. Fails. Any said. Other items? Hearing none, we have
Excuse me,
Sir.
I'd like to mention to the county commission, Eugene Garrett passed, and they're having his funeral tomorrow. He was on the county commission for 8 years, and I think the county ought at least recognize him and keep his family in their prayers.
Thank you, sir, for pointing that out. Mr. Garrett, from the county commissioner. Other things, as far as announcements, our next work session will be July the 13th. Our quarterly meeting will be July the 20th. We've been a little behind, and I don't want anyone to get upset, but I need to bring my birthdays up to date. Mr. Scarlett had a birthday in April. Mr. Blevins, Mr. Bells, and Mr. Bird had May birthdays, and A.J. Walker has a birthday in June. Motion to adjourn will be in order. We have a beer board meeting, and also budget committee members, you need to sign recapitulation. Motion second. We're adjourned.